What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Home Built Workshop. Today I'm doing a little bit of tool handle maintenance. When was the last time you addressed your tool handles, and why should you? Stick around. Well, if you guys are at all like me, you probably have one, but probably several tool handles that look like this. This could be shovels, rakes, that sort of thing, where the handle is all dried, checking, splintery, really not all that comfortable. And it's also terrible for the handle, as it does start to increase the chances of it breaking. So let's address this thing. There's a few reasons why you would want to do this. A couple I already mentioned, because they're going to be splintery, they're not that comfortable, can hurt your hands. It also will increase the chances that the handle is going to rot off and break, and we don't want that because we want to try to get as much life out of these tools as we can. We all spend our hard-earned money buying these tools, so it's in all of our best interest to make them last as long as we can to kind of get the most out of that initial investment. I think we could all agree that a few minutes of maintenance in making a tool last longer is a lot better than having to fork over the cash to buy a new one just because the handle breaks. What I'm going to work on right now for this video is this small shovel handle. This same process goes for absolutely anything with a wooden handle. I recommend at least once a year you take a few minutes and perform this maintenance. It will help prolong the life of your tool. I like to do it in the fall or winter time because everything seems to slow down and it just feels like you have a little bit more time to get everything ready for spring. A lot of us tend to be outside in the yard or the garden in spring and summertime, so that's not really the time that you want to have to worry about your tools. I think it's best to take care of it in the fall or winter time when you really don't have a lot of outdoor chores to do. Let's take a little closer look at the handle and get this thing taken care of for next year. So if we take a little bit closer look at this handle, you can see that there's some cracks in there. It's kind of splintery, some of the spots. The joint here still doesn't have any play, so that's a good sign. But I want to address this now before it gets any worse. So you don't need anything more than a piece of sandpaper. I'm gonna start with a piece of 80 grit just so I can get it down really quick. We're just gonna sand this down, get it nice and smooth, get rid of all the splinters. There is nothing fancy going on here. We're just sanding this thing nice and smooth, getting rid of the splinters and getting it cleaned up. That feels a lot better. Still has some cracks and stuff in here. Now, if you were really worried about it, you could put some epoxy or maybe some CA glue in there. I think this handle's still in good shape. I'm not gonna worry too much about those cracks just yet. To treat this handle, good old boiled linseed oil. Now you might be saying, boiled linseed oil, really? Why not use like a lacquer or something like that? A lot of the tool handles do come with some sort of a lacquer or a glossy coating. I don't like the glossy coating. Sometimes they can feel sticky, and it always seems to be the first thing that starts to crack and peel is that lacquer or poly or whatever is on that tool handle. That seems to be the first thing to go, and then you're right back in this position again. So I like to use boiled linseed oil because it's readily available. It's super easy to reapply. Now you could use a Danish oil or some other sort of oil, and if you really wanted a lacquer, you could just spray a couple coats of lacquer on there if that's your thing. But for my tools at the shop and at my home, I prefer linseed oil. To apply the linseed oil, it could not be any easier. You just take a rag, wipe on a generous amount of oil, and let it penetrate into the wood. I like to apply a couple of coats of linseed oil. You usually can tell if you need to add more coats of oil based on how quickly the oil absorbs into the wood when you apply it. If you've never treated your handle or it's been quite a few years, you might need to apply a few more. Any of the metal portions can also benefit from a coat of linseed oil. It's not going to hurt the metal. In fact, it actually is going to help protect it a little bit more. So don't be afraid to apply some to the metal. So there you have it. That quick, you can keep your hand tools in excellent working condition, which ultimately will help you save some money. If you use boiled linseed oil, make sure when you're done you don't just wad the rag up, throw it in the trash. You want to lay it out flat until it can dry completely on its own. Boiled linseed oil does have the potential to spontaneously combust if it's all wadded up into a ball, so make sure you lay it out, let it dry, and avoid any spontaneous combustion because that'd be bad. And that's all there is to it, guys. A few minutes at least once a year will help keep your wooden tool handles in awesome working condition. This can apply to any sort of wooden handled tool. It doesn't have to just be outdoor garden equipment. You can apply it to hammers, sledgehammers, axes, spoke shaves, anything that may have a wooden handle. You can treat it the same way and it'll keep it lasting a lot longer for you guys. Thanks a lot for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it and learned some tips. Now get out there, recondition your tool handles for next year. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.